Good morning, friends. My name is Seth. This is Uncover Exploration, and boy, oh boy, do I have an adventure for you. But first, I don't want to be rude. Welcome to my home. This RV is where my wife and I have been living for the last year, and we are using it on this adventure to travel to the Caribbean of the Rockies, Bear Lake, where we will be investigating the legendary Bear Lake monster. Bear Lake is located on the northern border of Utah, between Utah and Idaho. It sits on the most eastern side of that northern border and is actually split directly through the center, giving Idaho partial ownership of the north and Utah partial ownership of the south. Bear Lake is estimated to be 250,000 years old, with some even saying millions. Now, this lake was formed by the Bear Lake fault line, and as seismic activity continues to occur, everything separates around this lake, taking the bottom lower and lower, giving us a deeper lake every single year. Bear Lake is Utah's second largest lake. It measures at over 20 miles long, 8 miles wide, holds 70,000 acres of water, has an average depth of 94 feet, and its deepest spot measures in at 208 foot. Now, to my knowledge, there are no videos or images of the deepest parts of Bear Lake, because at 208 feet, it sits just outside of the range that most recreational scuba divers are willing to go. This lake is a hotspot for scuba recreation, but not at 208 feet. At the bottom, there's marl. Marl is a type of calcium carbonate, and it's what gives the lake this turquoise blue color. There are 4 species of fish that exist in this lake that are found nowhere else in the world. It is the Bear Lake cutthroat, the Bear Lake cisco or the Bonneville cisco, the Bear Lake whitefish, and the Bear Lake sculpin. But I'm not here to find those fish, however cool that may be. There's 2 species that I'm here to look for that I believe are just misidentified as the Bear Lake monster, and that is a freshwater eel and a sturgeon. Whew, it feels so good to be in the AC right now. While I clean up this drone, let's talk a little bit about Bear Lake history. Now, we know that this lake is estimated to be 250,000 plus years old. And in that time, this lake belonged to no one. It was shared among the indigenous tribes of the times, of those eras. Most predominantly, though, it was shared by the Shoshone people, who made this their utopia. And this lake had a pretty incredible mythology behind it, and that's where we get the Bear Lake monster from. Now, for the Shoshone people, from what I've learned, this dragon-esque serpent-like creature was said to create these large waves and whirlpools and drown people and control the weather. In 1868, we see a little bit of a different shift in this story. It goes from being something to keep people safe, and it becomes a bastardized tale for fame. Joseph C. Rich was a Mormon settler, and his life was not adding up to the fame that he thought he deserved. So he knowingly, willingly, and purposefully took this story from the Shoshone people and he embellished it. He wrote these fantastical observations that he had supposedly of the Bear Lake monster, and he sent it into the Deseret newspaper, and it took off. In 1907, there were 2 men who were up in a town just outside of Bear Lake, and they decided to camp on the beach on their way home. Now, their story was they heard bellowing, a monster comes up onto the lake, grabs their horse, they shoot it with shotguns, and it retreats back into the lake. That's not actually what happened. They were drunk, which you can't drink in the Mormon religion. They were gambling. You can't gamble in the Mormon religion. And they lost their horse. So Joseph C. Rich tells this embellished story, well, that's a great excuse, story for them to use to hide what they were really doing. So I'm going to finish up cleaning this, and we're going to spend the evening by the fire, maybe roast some vegan hot dogs, and just have a good time. And I will see you in the morning for a good old-fashioned monster hunt. Let's go catch a monster. We have made it. We are now in 208 foot of water. Let's send the drone down and let's find a monster. I'm so nervous. I haven't sent, how do you open this thing? I haven't sent this on a trek this deep yet. So, here we go. Get us some line. We are at the bottom. We are at 191 feet currently. And as you can see, that is just nothing but sediment. Nothing down here. The current, there's like a super strong current. It's just like taking us for a ride. Woo! I've now lost everything. There's nothing in this kind of area that would lead me to believe there's anything here. So we're gonna pull it up. I'm gonna run over. There's a bunch of spots that I want to send this down. But right here, I'm not getting any inkling that there would be anything down there. I didn't even see fish. All right, so we are headed up to Cisco Beach now. There's a spot up here for scuba divers, and there's some pretty steep cliffs and drop-offs apparently. So we're gonna go see that, maybe see if just on the other side it goes from like 70 feet to about 100 feet and then drops down to about 150, 160. So we're gonna head up there, see if we can't find those cliffs, and then drop down and see if maybe there's some caverns up underneath there. Let's go. Okay, we hit bottom really quick. So the bathymetric map that I have doesn't seem like it's super accurate because we are at 30 feet right now and I see bottom. Still tons and tons of marl, but yeah, that's crazy. That's all it is. It's just marl. Okay, so we've got two fish here playing with the drone. They've just been following. They're just hanging out. If you know what they are, comment down below. I am not versed on fish species, especially freshwater. They look like this. They're super curious though, they're fun. But they are not the bear lake monster, nor are they either of the two species of fish that I'm hoping to see. So, I've also not found the cliffs. Again, we're only in 30 foot of water. So I'm gonna pull the drone up. We're gonna head a little further out, send it down again, hopefully hit maybe 100 or so foot, and then maybe we'll find a monster. Really, I feel like I just spend more time reeling this thing in and having Megan direct the boat and the camera than what I actually do with it on the bottom. Now, I'm not super versed in like nautical maps, especially ones for fishing, but this has orange dots and they're all over the lake, and it's kind of a string from that beach out here, maybe another 100, I don't know, maybe another 100 yards. So we're gonna dive down and we're gonna figure out what these orange dots mean. Okay, so we're only in 4 foot of water. It seems super rocky. Again, nothing. Out in 6 foot. Yeah, still just nothing. Absolutely nothing. We're in about 12 foot right now. Yeah, I'm not even seeing like fish. So you would think if there were to be a lake monster in here, it would likely be in the deeper section. It wouldn't swim around this. I mean, the Bear Lake monster is like 90 feet long apparently and stands like 20 feet high. Where would it have the space to hang out in here? I don't realistically think it would. And I mean, from what I'm seeing, we've dropped in 3 different places so far, and there's really nothing. Not an abundance of food, not an abundance of hiding places. So maybe I just don't know the lake well enough, or I don't know. I'm skeptical. All right, I'm not feeling very confident in this video that we're gonna find anything cool at all. There's some fish, but that's about it. I really expected to see a lot more like shelves, maybe holes, caverns, stuff like that. And maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I'm not a local. I don't know where exactly to look. We focused on this side a lot. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip the boat around. We're gonna head over to the other side. We're gonna cross just into the Idaho border, because from what I've read on Reddit, there's some good fishing up in the northern section. So we're gonna head up there. We're gonna see if we can't maybe find anything cooler than some rocks and some whatever kind of fish those are. Let's go. All right, so according to the bathymetric, we're at about 160 feet of water right now. We're kind of smack dab in the very middle of the lake. So I'm gonna send down here. We've got about 36% of battery left. So I'm hoping we can get down, get up. It's only 10:30 right now. We have this rental until 1. So what may happen is I'll send this down, run it back after I'm done, throw it on the charger, come back out, get some shots with the drone, and then maybe try to send it down again if we have time. Woo! All right, so we just hit bottom at about 150 feet, 153 feet. Again, just tons and tons of that calcium carbonate on the bottom. A lot of buildup. I'm not seeing anything of like any real importance, but whatever's down here, the current must just be insane, because it is like ragdolling this drone around, and we're at 15% battery, so I'm losing power quick. But oh man, I'm not seeing anything. It's just barren. Extremely barren. No fish. They're staying away from this kind of really deep area, probably because there's literally nothing here. I don't even see like plant life or algae or anything really. But like I said, I think the current it's almost like a stream that's just pushing the drone pretty far away. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. All right, so I've lost connection to the drone. I've got nothing. Last reading was at 35 foot. 35 feet, I guess. Foot, I don't know. But we're under the water. And we're gonna have to do this manually. Which kind of sucks. It's saved. All right, let's take it back, throw it on the charger. It's 10:46 right now. Maybe we get a 45-minute charge, bring it out, hit that right side over there, see if we can find something. Okay, so we let the ROV charge for maybe 25, 30 minutes. We are running to the end of our rental time for this thing. I want one of these. Forget the ROV. This is what I want. We did come out. There is a location here, supposedly, where they've sunk in some cars. There's a boat, and there's a very small cave. That is over on the Cisco Beach side. I can't find the exact coordinates, so since we're running so low on time, we're not going to head there today. Maybe we'll come back up another time and do that. But I found this spot. We're at about 130 feet of water, and it seems like there's kind of a very small shelf here where it drops down. I can see on my bathymetric that it's two different colors. Can't really see that. I'll put a screenshot up. But we're going to send the drone down here, and maybe this little inlet, there's something of interest. Let's get in the water. All right, we have hit bottom, and it is insanely murky. Not seeing a lot of anything. That sodium, I keep saying that. That calcium carbonate is just super thick right here. No signs of any fish. Let's give it some more line. The current is just all sorts of wonky down on the bottom. I was talking to some of the workers here, and they say that the fishing has just been terrible recently. Nobody's catching much of anything. Even the kind of hot spots are not really hot spots anymore. I'm losing hope of finding a monster. We've hit our battery capacity, but this spot's a bust too. I mean, there's nothing. I would have really expected a lot more activity, a lot more just normal prey fish all around, especially in this. I mean, it seems like there's a decent shelf right here, and we're kind of in the drop zone around where the shelf is. And I mean, we've got nothing all the way from 119 feet up to the surface. There's nothing. And you look out, and I mean, there's nobody fishing either. Everybody's wakeboarding or tubing or doing whatever, but you're not seeing any fishermen. Maybe around the edges, but very few and far between, which, you know, even if we don't find a lake monster, is kind of sad for this lake. I was hoping that it would be teeming with life and just have tons and tons of fish and crayfish, and there's not that. Maybe it is because the bottom is barren. Maybe there's not a ton of space for them to be able to hide and just kind of live. I don't know. Kind of depressing though. Let's reel the drone in, and it's time to head back and have some lunch. What an incredible weekend. Even if we didn't find a monster, even if we didn't find anything, it was so great to come up here, to have some cooler weather, to sit by the fire, to go out on the boat, to be by the water. Just such a vibe that I am all for. I have 3 theories about this monster and why we may not have found it. First is that it's just a story. It's just a fun story to share, and people are gonna continue to share it because it is fun. But we also have to remember that this is a story that's a part of a culture, that this is something that's historical for them, it's ancestral, it's something that should be respected and not bastardized like Joseph C. Ridge did. The second theory is that it's misidentification. There are things in this lake, I think, as far as eels, we know through surveys they found them. I think that maybe people could be putting sturgeon in the lake. The way that the waves cap, there's tons of things people could see that they could easily misidentify as a creature swimming through the water. But don't forget, apex predators in the water can skim the surface without breaking surface tension. So if this monster is hunting in this lake, chances are, if it's skimming the surface at a speed, chasing something, you're not going to be able to see it. Think about a giant crocodile or a shark. It doesn't need to show you it's there unless it wants to. The third theory kind of goes along with that one, and it's more on the psychological side. People are going to see what they want to see. If they believe in this thing, they're going to see evidence for it. We see that with all sorts of mythologies, religion, paranormal, anything, XYZ. People are going to see what they want to see, what they're choosing to believe. And if they're choosing to believe there's a monster in the lake, they're gonna see evidence of there being a monster in the lake. But let me know. What do you think? Do you fall into one of those 3 categories, or is it something completely different? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear what you would have done differently if you were here investigating for the Bear Lake Monster.